Hi, hello, big warm welcome to my channel. Thanks for looking in on my today's video. Anyway, you're most welcome. Just a quick reminder that I've done loads and loads of videos on all sorts of topics, ranging from, I've written some short stories, I've talked about crime, and I've actually talked about my experiences as a probation officer and working with people. All sorts of things. There's some about history, some about certain locations, some sort of comedy type videos. So lots and lots of different videos. So if you go in on my channel, you'll see chapter headings, and all the topics are there. So I'm kind of going down a new trend where I'm giving advice. Today's video is about self-employment, and particularly really for ex-offenders really. And in that, I've kind of made a really good mate over YouTube. There's a chap called Luke who's a self-employed decorator, and his channel's terrific for giving advice on becoming a self-employed painter decorator. He's got loads of wisdom really, and I've recommended him before, and I warmly recommend him again. So if you look in the section below this video, I've put his channel on there, and I've actually pasted a couple of videos that he's released recently. One is about advertising. It's about advertising your self-employed status. The other thing is that it's funny, but Luke and me kind of we'll be saying similar things really, but from different angles because of the different sort of work that we've done. And really, in many ways, I admire Luke for his assertiveness, actually. And, you know, he doesn't suffer fools gladly, I think, you know, and he can spot a customer who's going to give him problems from a mile off now through having his fingers burnt previously. So particularly for ex-offenders, it's really important that as a self-employed person, that you're thoroughly squeaky clean, regards honesty really, that you're very honest and exceptionally trustworthy. And you build up your trade through personal recommendations, you know, through doing a good job, a good and honest job to a high standard, really. So I've really loved being self-employed. I've been self-employed all different periods in my life actually, and I left the probation service about 10-12 years ago, and to be honest with you, it hasn't been easy, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that, but I've really ended up really thoroughly enjoying it. And the nice thing is that you're your own boss. You don't have to ask permission from this or that to do this. You don't, and you can really go down the road that you want to do and enjoy it. Now, I thoroughly enjoy it. And the other thing is that you can pick and choose who you work for, you know, and I've got to that point now where I've built up a reputation in the kind of work that I do, and there's some people who I will not work for because they haven't treated me properly, and I just go, right, I'm not working for that organisation anymore. There was a chain of care homes that were a bit patronising and very ungrateful and quite rude. And I just stopped working for them, you know. I thought, I'm not putting up with that kind of behaviour. So, you know, it's really nice because, you see, when you're employed, sometimes management can be particularly grim, can't they? And unhelpful and unpleasant, you know. So you can make a lot of friends. And I think one of my pieces of advice is keep flexible, keep an open mind with your self-employment, because when I left probation, I thought I was going to go down a particular road, and I found that that road was a dead-end road, and my plans for self-employment probation kind of went up in smoke. So I tried something else, and that something else was, a bit by accident, I thought, right, I'm going to do show films in care homes, and I went along to this care home. I kind of did a mail shot, and this care home said, yes, we're interested. So I took this, I took my projector in, showed this film, and as well, I did it all properly. I've got like a special license to show films and things like that. So I showed the film, and they all fell asleep. You know, the elderly people fell asleep, and the deputy manager there said, we really enjoyed having you. We thought it was really nice that you made popcorn for everybody. The smell of popcorn was delicious, and the staff ate it, but older people tend to prefer marshmallows and things like that. So perhaps, you know, we'd like you to come back, but perhaps bring some marshmallows as well next time. The other thought I had, she said, was, you know, try and do short little bits, really, and something where you get them singing, you know. And I said, oh yes, what songs do you recommend? Now, I kind of gone down this road of learning from the residents in care homes and the carers as to what sort of entertainment they would like, you see. And that's been my success, really, in that. And I've had to evolve because different generations in the care homes are coming along, and they like different songs. And some of the songs that I learned, I didn't even know to start with, and I love them now, and I know them off by heart. So I do lots of singing, and I put the words up, and they come sing with me. And I've been around dementia groups, and I've built up quite a big name. And I go around all of these, and I also work with adults with learning disabilities. And the thing is to keep a flexible and open mind. Now, the pandemic came along, and all my work died overnight. And in a way, what was a bit upsetting is that I'd done a lot of work for one particular chain of care homes, but it kind of felt like, you're not coming tomorrow, and it kind of felt like they couldn't give a shit about me, you know. And, you know, there I was, no work, and I thought, bloody hell, what am I going to do? So you kind of have to look at different things. So I had to look at doing agency work. I did a bit of parcel delivery, and I quite enjoyed it, actually. And there I was going down, and I've done a YouTube about my funny experiences of being a parcel delivery person, my experiences during the pandemic. And it's well worth a look, because some of the stories are really funny, actually. But it's about keeping positive, and actually I enjoyed it. And funnily enough, I was talking to a local radio station, and I'd done a bit of work, kind of mock radio shows with the elderly people, you see. So continuing along that train, I applied for work with a local radio station, and they gave me a slot, and I used to interview kids on the doorstep, and I had my microphone, and I was there social distancing with my microphone and getting kids to tell me jokes to cheer up the listeners during this difficult time of the pandemic. Now, isn't that about flexible thinking, isn't it? So, but, you know, so self-employment, you've got to keep an open mind and go with the flow. See, when I left probation, I thought, I'm going to work with youngsters and I'm going to stop them becoming offenders. That was my kind of mission. But you know what? It completely failed, pretty much. Except that one school, a private school, used to employ me to come and give talks once a month. And I used to have a friend that come and help me to do it. And that went really well for many years. And I did sort of these interactive talks, and they used to really enjoy it. And one moving occasion, they all stood up and gave me a standing ovation. But the other schools, the state schools, I really came up against a brick wall. I kind of feel that maybe teachers thought that, who's this guy? He's not a professional like us. Who does he think he is? You know, there was a bit of that. And I don't think they had the money either to pay me. And quite a lot of people out there want you to do stuff for nothing. And I've done groups, and there's one charity who haven't paid me for 3 months, and they owe me over £1,000 in money. Now, that's a lot of money, isn't it? So I've stopped working for them. Another tip that somebody said to me was, people like that who are slow payers put the price up, you know? And I've stopped working for them. I can't afford to work for them, and I'm threatening them with court action, you know? And listening to Luke's really encouraged me. So different strings to your bow, it's quite important. And Luke kind of does that. He does painting and decorating, and, you know, he does carpet cleaning. I've even done leafleting, you know, and it's quite clever because you pay to do leafleting, and you can select leaflet your own, put your own leaflet in sometimes for your own business. When I was delivering parcels, I was doing all my local area, and I was promoting my radio show, and I was saying, do write in and do, you know, and it became more interactive, and my listener figures went up, which was pretty good, through my leafleting, right? So I did a little leaflet about my radio show, do listening, do contribute, you know, and I interviewed quite a few people during the pandemic with really interesting stories. And I even had a local vicar, and we used to do a show together. I had a charity group, a learning disability group, who were communicating to their club members. And one of them became a co-DJ with me, and he was absolutely brilliant. What fun we had, you know, out of being self-employed, I have. But there are difficult times, and you do get problems. So the thing is not to lose your temper. And I have a couple of times, and it's backfired on me. And Luke will say it, and I'll say, don't lose your temper, bite your tongue, take time out and think on things. And what I found really helpful was, I had a mate that I used to go and have a drink with about once a month. This mate and me, we're like chalk and cheese, and we see the world differently. But over the years, he's helped me in many, many ways, right? As a probation officer, I had a few difficult times, and I talked to him about it, maybe difficult cases or problems with management, or you can sometimes get problematic. And he would come at me with solutions that I hadn't thought of, and he'd say, right, but, and sometimes quite radical things he'd say, because, you know, he'd come from a different world from me, and it was really, really useful. The other funny bit of advice, I know it sounds a bit funny this, but don't deal with problems straight away sometimes, is sleep on it. And it's weird because my brain, I don't know what it is, but often the brain keeps working at night. And when you wake up in the morning, you kind of think, you know, and I was thinking about that £1,000, and I thought, you know what? This charity owes me all that. I'm going to, this morning, and my brain had been thinking about it overnight, I'm going to complain to the charity commission about them, because the way they've, you know, they don't reply to my letters, the way they've treated me is appalling. I think other people have got complaints about them. I think maybe they should be investigated by the Charity Commission. Now, that's more positive action, really, than me getting, you know, banging their door, you know, and behaving inappropriately. Now, Luke talks about leafleting, and funnily enough, when I was about age 12 or 13, my mum said, it's about time, son, you started doing a bit of work during the school holidays, and she got me this job. And I did it, and I'm pleased, actually, I enjoyed it. and it was a hot summer, I remember, and I was going around leafleting, and it was for an office in my hometown that was an agency, and they provided accommodation. Agency was part of, from the same office, but they also did a dating agency, a marriage. In those days were old fashioned, and they used to do like a dating agency, and they were matching up couples. And so I was going around and I felt a bit embarrassed this. But Luke, watch his video about leafleting, because it's really, really good. Anyway, I'm going to stop on that, but keep flexible, have a good mate to advise you. Do have a look at Luke's, and for Christ's sake, enjoy being self-employed. All the best now, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.